minutes. Okay, now it's recording. Before we start, just, help us a bit and tell a little bird on the left side about this event so more people can join us. And
click the little bird.
Yeah,
there.
Just double click tell a little bird, the blue one on the left side. Jyotsna will be telling you what we will be talking about, and I'll be there in 2 minutes, okay?
Great. So guys, thank you for joining us on this blab. This is our very first blab. So both Ani and I are self-published authors, and we have a lot of friends who have gone the other route of going through published, these traditional publishers. So we have been seeing that they're facing a lot of problems because it's a very tough process. So today we thought that let's compare both the things and see the pros and cons of traditional publishing as well as self-publishing and see which one would suit you the best. So as I was just thinking about this topic, I thought of 5 different things, 5 differences between self-publishing and traditional publishing. So would any of you want to join us? Because we have an open seat, but I guess Annie has to approve. She's just gone to open the door for her husband. He's just come back from office, I guess. So let Annie come back so that we can have more of a couple of you on the hot seat. So that would be interesting. So let's get back to the topic of self-publishing versus traditional publishing. I think the very first difference is rights. So when you publish your book on your own as a self-published author, you own the complete rights for the book, that is in terms of the copyrights. Whereas if you go through a traditional publisher, you have to give up that advantage. So, that could be not a very big deal when you're first getting published as an author, because you get all excited when you get a publishing deal, right? But down the road, if, thanks Maria for joining. Guys, in the comments, start sharing where are you tuning in from. That'll help us get an idea of where are you guys tuning in from. All right. So as I was telling, the rights could be a big difference when it comes to traditional publishing versus self-publishing. So it's like, you bring up your kid and after 5 or 10 years of age, you give up the kid for adoption to somebody else. So it's as hard as that when you give away the rights for your book, because author spends, there's somebody from New York. There is Stinson Ross from Austin, Texas. Hi, guys. So Ani, I was just talking about giving up the rights of your book when you are going to a traditional publisher. So authors typically spend months and even years writing their book. So it's quite unfortunate that when you go to a traditional publisher, you have to give away the rights, right?
Well, it is, especially if you end up realizing that at some point, they prefer editing it in a way that you don't really like, or, they have the right to choose the cover and prepare the cover. So you may end up writing the book for years and years and pour out your heart and soul out there. And then once you sign up the contract, you end up with a cover which is not really, what you liked, and, a text which has been completely transformed, and you lose your voice as a result. That
right.
May happen as well.
And I feel that, Ani, when you give up the rights, you also, hi, Harsh is tuning in. So
yes,
let's welcome Harsh. Hi, Harsh.
Hey, my camera,
Harsh.
Is it
You need to tilt your screen. Yeah, that's
right. Okay.
Much better now.
Right. So yeah, go ahead, guys.
So let's introduce Harsh to the rest of the guys who are tuning in. Harsh is a successful self-published author from India, and he is a member of our mastermind group. So we are very proud of you, Harsh.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome, Harsh.
Hey, I just want to add something. My voice, do you hear an echo or something?
Yeah, slightly.
I removed all the backgrounds, the mats and everything, so it's clear right now, but there's an echo.
No problem.
I don't know. I can go to another room if you want. Right? I'll just move.
Just try if you can, otherwise it's okay. We can still hear you.
Okay, great. So I did interview Karan Bajaj, and he told me that when you give your rights away to a publisher, right? They're not going to promote you, right? The promotion is on you. You have to hire a publicist with your own money, okay? It's like, the only thing that I got from him was that they will help you to edit your book once you give the rights to a publisher. And anything, we can get a freelance editor on Fiverr, or maybe a copy editor if you do your research, right? And for copy editing, it's like, giving the rights away just for editing, I don't think it's worth it. After all, you have to do the promotion yourself. And I also like to focus on one more thing. Say you give your rights away, right? After that, say the publisher like Penguin or HarperCollins or any big publisher, the next week a big author launches their book, then they will leave you, right? They will stop promoting your book, and maybe after a week, after a month, they might even stop printing your books. And after that, you have no right over that. You cannot print a book. I mean, if the printing is over, you have absolutely no say in that. So it's all up to the publisher. So I don't think that the traditional publishing industry, the hype that it used to have before, it's not that evident right now, because you guys already are familiar that it's a publishing we do all on our own. Yeah, that's the only thing I just wanted to just say. Go ahead, guys.
Thanks for
How are
adding
you
that
guys?
point, Harsh. Hi.
Hello there.
How's it going?
Great. Can you introduce yourself?
My name's Saif. I'm from Dubai, 18 years old.
Wow.
Are you a writer?
Nope.
Are you planning to write sometime in future?
I don't like to write.
How did you find our Blab? Did you just browse on Blab and you came across this broadcast?
Yep.
Cool. So just stay tuned, and if you have any questions, you can, you can just ask us towards the end, right?
Yeah, okay.
Cool. So we were discussing about the rights part of it, and as Harsh was mentioning, we need to see whether it's really worth it, because you have very little scope to do a lot of other things. The second point I wanted to talk about with you and Ani and the rest of them is about the royalties. When it comes to traditional publishing, I've heard that authors just get somewhere around 5 to 15% maximum, which is far lesser than what self-published authors make. Like when we publish on Amazon, on Kindle, most of the time we get 70% royalties, right? And if it's a paperback, it's around 40%, depending on the kind of book. But then in terms of when it comes to traditional publishing, it's way too lesser. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think it's quite, it depends how you look at it. If you think that the reputation, let's say, which is connected to having your book published by a traditional publisher is worth this huge difference in royalties, and you prefer to make less money but to be published traditionally, then it's a matter of choice. You might, if you are a non-fiction author or a speaker who needs that kind of proof, just to have one contract with traditional publisher, just to tick the bucket list, then maybe it's worth it. But, in terms of financial wise, I don't think that, unless you have the big 5 publishers behind your back, you won't be selling enough books to make up for the difference in royalties anyway. So in most cases, it's financially unattractive to go with traditional publishers, because you won't be able to sell so many books to make this huge over 60% difference in royalties.
That's true. The person here, Stinson Ross, she's brought up a very important point about distribution. I think that's the next difference between traditional and self-publishing. When it comes to traditional publishing, the publisher takes care of the complete distribution. If the publisher is good, you'll find your book in every bookstore and in every possible online store as well. Whereas in self-publishing, it's totally up to the author, whether you want to publish on Amazon or Nook or Kobo, or even if you want to go into the brick and mortar bookstore, it's up to you. So do you think self-published authors miss out on that opportunity to reach out to more people?
Well, it's, these days things are changing, and I have a feeling that, at least people around me very often prefer to buy ebooks as opposed to paperbacks. And in terms of distribution, the huge difference between traditionally published authors and self-published authors are the big bookstores where self-published authors usually can't get in yet, unless they are already, already well known and already have a big audience and some proof. So usually, the thing with this is, if you are, you can promote your book enough, and if you already have built your readership and audience, most probably that distribution is not very crucial to you anyway. I mean, the readers would buy your book, the e-version, or would go to CreateSpace or any other solution to have a print on demand. So basically, I don't think there is a huge difference. The hard part is hard for both sides anyway. It's the marketing, and it's getting the readers, and it's getting engagement, and people waiting for your next book to buy. As to where they buy it from, I don't think it matters too much, because it's just it's a matter of few clicks anyway, so it's okay.
Right. What do you think, Harsh? Because I feel that when it comes to ebooks, self-published authors have a clear advantage, right? Maybe for the
They do.
You need the support of the
right. The only traditional publisher that I have interviewed previously is Karan Bajaj, and he told me that he received a bonus of $80,000 for his debut novel in the US. And when I checked that book on Amazon, it had just one review, that's mine, and no review. So that means it's not selling that well for a book that has received $80,000. So here we can clearly see a difference here. So the self-published authors, we have no other option. Like, we cannot go out to a bookstore, we cannot go out to a distributor. Of course, there are ways like the site was InSpark, right?
Ingram Spark, yeah.
Correct me, I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Jyotsna, your voice is not coming here. Maybe there's a connection problem with me. Can you guys hear me? Right, Ingram Spark, right. Yeah, so there are options like that, but point is to get into the mass distribution. I think for self-published authors, the thing is it's quite limited. All right, but Tucker Max, if you have been following this guy, Tucker Max, he built his own publishing company. He rejected even I guess 2 million book deal from a publisher, and then he started I forgot the word, man. He started his own publishing company, then he hooked up with a distributor, and now he receives 80% royalties. So I think we can do that, but of course you need more and more sales for that. For self-published authors, I think right now we have Amazon, we can get onto other platforms, we have all the promo websites, we know all about that. We can start promoting our books, and then eventually if we sell a lot of copies, and if we go out there to book fairs and everything else, then into a local community, then Rebecca Howard Patrick, she's doing great with community fairs, right? So we can do that. I think we have to get out there and promote ourselves. After all, the publisher is not going to do it for us, right?
True. And another main, actually, most people go with traditional publishing.
There's still some internet connection problem here.
Are you able to hear me, Ani?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe you can just listen to the recording later, Harsh. So what I was telling is that most people still prefer to go with a traditional publisher because they feel that, that they have the extra support of getting their book edited, getting the covers done and all that. So maybe 10 years back, that would have been quite attractive, Ani. But right now, I feel that, with services like our own service and so many others out there, it's so much easier for an author to just get the basics done, like the editing and the cover and the formatting and all that. So that's not a huge incentive why someone should go with traditional publishing. I may be biased here, but then this is what I feel. And there are so many great examples of people who are doing so well by publishing it themselves. My favorite is Steve Scott. He writes a book a month, and he's making a consistent income of more than 20,000 US dollars per month. So that's the power of self-publishing, is what I feel. Hi, Michelle.
Hello. Hi, Michelle. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me jump in and contribute.
You were giving some great points, Michelle. So it's great to have you.
I come at this from an interesting kind of point of view because I am an author. I am a writer. I have an independent book that I published a few years ago. Went through the whole process myself, learning how to format it for ebook. I did my own cover. I jumped into every aspect of the project just to learn. And now that I've kind of done that, I really appreciate the independent author community that we have around us, that enables me to reach out to folks and say, hey, manuscripts down there could really use a great editor. People reach out. I'm working currently with another fellow independent author to revise one of my books and rethink the cover and kind of figure out how I want to carry my series forward in a more commercially viable way. So community is really important. And in the last 5 years, it's interesting to see how the community has kind of grown up around the independent publishing industry. So, and the other half of my brain is digital marketing. I am a social media marketing consultant as well. So totally understand the aspect of, okay, I just created this great work. Now, how do I get it in front of an audience? So I kind of work both sides of that coin.
Which is the hardest part, actually, because, I have a feeling that writing the book is much easier than actually, later on selling it out.
Oh, totally. Because honestly, you and I, all of us know that there's a finite amount of time that we spend writing a piece. At some point, we will finish it. It will be done. It'll be edited. We'll put it up for sale. And we're kind of done with that aspect of the project. But the marketing, the audience building goes on and on and on and on as long as we have that project up for sale. It is an awful lot like having children. We give birth and then we spend all that time raising them.
True. That's so true, Michelle. So what have your main focus been in terms of digital marketing for your books? Which are the platforms that you would suggest authors?
Social media is huge. That is the place where you can go and find people conversing about their favorite books, what they like to read, that kind of stuff. It's really been interesting, particularly on Twitter, building that audience of people that like the type of stuff that I like to read and write. There are plenty of other authors to build connections and networks with as well. Facebook used to be interesting. And when there were a lot of really great organic opportunities, it was good. But as difficult as it is now to reach an audience on Facebook, I'm becoming less and less enamored of it. They're just as great an opportunity on places like Goodreads as there is Facebook. And that is, that's more of a community that's interested in good books and finding things to read and sharing things that they love to read. For me, that would be far more effective. And then, of course, there's creating the author profile in Amazon. Honestly, Amazon's marketing that they put behind stuff that's created, whether it's created for Kindle or whether it's created for print in CreateSpace, they do a great job of partnering with independent authors to help promote and, get those books out there to readers. It's in their best interest too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure.
So you were also telling us about the community, Michelle, and I can't agree more because we are all independent. So it's very important that we are united by a community that updates us about what's the latest trend in the author market and also gives us the extra support and holds us accountable. So I'm a very active member of a few communities, and one of them is Pat's group on Facebook. Are you a member of Pat Flynn's group on Facebook, Michelle?
I am not, but if somebody could point me
Yeah, we'll send you the link here.
I'll put a link there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Several good friends of mine, I love it that you mentioned accountability because J. Alexander Greenwood, the author of the John Pilot Mysteries, is a good friend of mine. He's got 4 novels and a collection of short stories out around John Pilot. And he's kind of been my hero because he's managed to get 4 books out in the time that I've gotten one, but I'll claim mommy status on that one. I have kids that I'm raising, but he's been particularly helpful in kind of encouraging, cheering me on, kicking me in the butt when I need it. So definitely having that accountability when you're an independent author is incredibly important, I think.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, my son is usually kicking my ass, so he's the one with that responsibility.
Michelle, I have a publishing company and where I have published several books using outsourced authors. So I never did the writing until 6 months back. So when I started writing my first book, it was so difficult because I was writing for the first time. So I just joined another author program called Self-Publishing School. It's not that I didn't know the steps of publishing because I've already done that 50 times. But the only aspect of that program was this accountability partner system. So they paired me with another person who's living in New Zealand. So he's like, we're not common in any way. He's almost 70 years old and he was writing a book on finance, whereas I was writing a book on home entrepreneurship and all that. So though we were so different, we were so interested in each other's progress and we were really holding each other accountable, and we'll do our weekly calls and, kick each other's butt. So that way, it was really helpful and it made me write and publish the book within 2 months. So I think for all the self-published authors, if they don't have an accountability partner, they have to find one immediately. So that will really help them.
Absolutely. I mean, when you don't have a publisher, an editor, somebody holding you to a deadline, when all of that as a self-published author is self-set, it's really easy to let some aspect of the rest of your life kind of horn its way in and go, yeah, well, it's just me. Nobody's really waiting for this. It's really easy to make that excuse that I'll get it done when I get it done. And that is one of the nice reasons to have an accountability partner, because you don't have a publisher pushing you to get something done by a particular deadline. And it's way too easy on your own to go, I think I'll just push that deadline back a little bit. I know I'm certainly guilty of it. I mean, my little novella I've had out for several years now, and I have books and books full of notes and outlines and all kinds of stuff for several more books. It's just that I always find some kind of excuse to, let life kind of get in the way and not get words on the page.
Oh yeah, if you let it, it will always come on your way. That's what the practice shows. So actually, yeah, and there are some times and pretty often when you don't feel like writing. It's kind of you wake up, you plan to write, but then you sit down and then you're kind of, oh my god, I don't really feel like. And then until you force yourself and actually write your first paragraph or as much as you need to actually get into the flow, nothing will happen. So very often people kind of, stand up and start doing other stuff and the moment is lost. And of course, nothing will be written. And the more you skip it, the harder it is. It is, for me, it's like similar with fitness. The more you kind of skip those workouts and then later on, more painful it gets when you restart. So actually, I think it's the same way. The more you skip, the harder it gets. And, in the beginning, it's very hard. But, the more you do it, it becomes a habit. And then it opens up your creativity and it just becomes your lifestyle. And then you just don't stop. So that even if you don't feel like writing, you have to force yourself because that's the only way.
You know what? That's part of the reason why I think NaNoWriMo is such a good program to get involved with. It's one of those things where it's more about the discipline of writing than it is the inspiration and the creativity. You have to have both. Obviously, you need to be inspired or you're not going to tell a good story. But at the same time, you have to have that discipline in order to finish it. And NaNoWriMo gives us the chance to sit down, write with kind of a no guilt situation where it's all right if I put crap on the page today, so long as I put something on the page today. And it's a good way to build in that discipline to the creativity and the inspiration. Even when the muse doesn't show up to whisper in our ears, we can still sit down and get something written.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Because, many people hate Mondays. Many people hate their 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, whatever they have jobs. But they do wake up and go to work, although it's not always worth it. But, when it's something so important like writing, especially if it's your passion, somehow you don't force yourself to do that because, you don't have that crazy boss or you don't have these circumstances that if you lose the job, you will have, a really bad results at the end. So it's kind of, I guess the mindset is wrong because, you end up giving priority to something you hate and then, it takes up the time for something you love doing. Yeah.
That's such a coincidence, right, Ani? Just a few hours back, Michelle, Ani was talking to me about this website called NaNoWriMo. Until then, because I have never written a fiction book, I didn't know about this. But she was telling it's such a great community, and Ani herself has written 2 books. And she's won that in the last 2 years, consecutive years. So it's such a great way for inspiring people to write. And Harsh, a few minutes back, has just posted a question. It's a great question, Harsh. He's written, why most writers wait a long time to write their very first book. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, I was actually talking on my latest interview with... I don't even remember which interview it was, but I remember that the guest was actually telling me that when people say that they don't, they are not writing their book or they can't write a book or they don't have time to write a book, they mean something else. So it's not the real reason. The real reason is much deeper. It means that they are not yet ready to share their writings with the world. It means that they are scared of failure or they're scared of negative feedback and, all these other much deeper emotional things that they are hiding behind different excuses like I don't have time, I have family to support, I don't have idea about a book and stuff like that. So usually it's always much deeper emotional reasoning behind that, and that keeps them apart. So I guess it's just a matter of mindset. It's a matter of actually kind of overcoming their fears and just trying to put themselves in that vulnerable situation where people can actually provide feedback, and when definitely not 100% of the feedback will be positive. But that's something that all writers go through, and that's the only way. There is no other way yet created and invented. So I guess different people need different time span for that, to get ready and to prepare themselves emotionally for that. But I guess it's very doable because all writers have gone through that, and every writer who is published definitely had the same fears.
And also, Ani, I feel that one need not be a natural writer or a very creative person to write a book. I feel if a person has any message or some knowledge or skill to share, they're good enough to write a book, especially when it comes to the non-fiction kind of writing. So if their English is bad, it's okay. If they really don't know how to write, it's okay, because they just have to put their thoughts together and they can always get it edited by a professional editor and make it look like a book, right? What do you think about that, Michelle? Does one really have to go through a writing course or, get well trained, or can they just put their work out there?
Well, I think especially for nonfiction, when you're talking about professional books, you're talking about something that, you have hands-on knowledge with. Yeah. If writing isn't a comfortable thing to you, but you've got something really good to share, co-write. find a writing partner that can just nail those words to the wall and create something together. That also helps with the fear factor, I should say.
Yeah.
Because then you've got somebody else that's kind of working through the process with you. You're sharing, you're not having to do this kind of in an isolated bubble. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of those things that stop us, particularly from writing professional books, kind of go away when you have a co-author. You can have somebody to bounce ideas off of. You have somebody to kind of hold you accountable. You have that sense that, okay, I'm not having to carry this whole load all by myself. And all those spots that you're weak, find a good co-author that can kind of shore you up and get you on your way. You learn so much through the process of writing that first book that you become a better writer by the end of it. I could say that from personal experience. That first book, I learned so much.
Right. I think finding a good co-author could be the best way, if you're not confident and if there is another person who can add value or a different angle to the book, it's great to have a co-author and, get the book out there. And I also wanted to share another app, which I find many not so good writers are using. There are people who can talk and talk, but they can't write. So there is this app called Rev. I think it's available on the Apple store. So people just record. It's like a transcribing service. So they just talk for half an hour and Rev would transcribe it into a Word document and send it back. And then this person would sit on the document and edit it or, create a structure out of it. So I think that's also something which a person who can't write can just probably try.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is such thing like can't write, to be honest, because it's anyone who has a message to share, anyone who actually can combine a sensible thought can actually come up with something valuable. It's just a matter of how well you can and how beautifully you can do that, and that itself I think comes with the time, because it's a craft. So more you write, better you get, and it's not something that comes, even talented writers, if they don't put in the hours and if they don't really practice the writing, someone who is not so talented may just pass them and go much further just because he was really harder working. So I guess that there is no such thing that I'm not writing well. I can't really come up with a good book because I'm not a good writer. It's just a matter how much you are actually willing to work towards becoming a good writer.
Absolutely.
Ladies, it was a pleasure getting to talk and meet with you. I have got other stuff going off and demanding my attention, but thank you for letting me occupy a seat and chat for a couple minutes.
Welcome. It was a pleasure.
Fun. Yeah, it was great talking to you, Michelle. So are you the person from Austin, Texas?
Yes.
Great, Michelle. And all the best for your next book. And reach out to us for any publishing related help. By the way, we run a publishing service, Ani and me, called publishmybook.today. So we'll probably leave the link here. So we do services like book covers, editing, formatting, audiobooks, author websites, and stuff like that.
Oh, cool. Well, it was great to meet you. And yes, I will be following along and making sure that I solidify the connection.
Sure.
Great. Take care. Bye. Okay. Wow, that was really nice. So we can continue with. So we were comparing the traditional publishers to self-publishers, and so we basically came up with several points. Comparing those and the main differences they have. So basically, times are changing, and with the time, all the advantages of traditional publisher are diminishing. So it's not like they're not important anymore, or everyone should self-publish. It's a matter of choice, and it's a matter of priorities, and it all depends what the person really wants out of it and what's the main goal for that particular book. But definitely with the time, self-published books and self-published authors are getting bigger chances. And if before they weren't really viewed well, and they were considered like, those are the writers who couldn't find a traditional publisher and who couldn't find a contract, that's why, they are doing it by themselves. Now it's completely different because, many good quality books are coming out there. Many very popular best-selling authors are being self-published. So, the image is changing, the perception is changing, and things get much better. Yeah.
True. And another key difference, Ani, is also the time, because when you submit your manuscript to a traditional publisher, it's going to take ages, because that's what a few of my friends, they've been waiting for 2 years and their book is still in the editor's desk somewhere. So that's again something. And these days, time is money, and you can't keep waiting for ages, till you see your name in the bookshelf.
Well, I mean, I can tell you from my personal experience, I had a literary agent who was looking for publisher for my first novel, although it was already self-published. So they found a publisher about 7 or 8 months after they were looking for a publisher. But that publisher was actually a Spanish publisher who wanted the rights for the book in Spanish to be printed and, to be produced and sold in Spain. So obviously the issue of translation came up, and it's almost 2 years that they're translating the book. And once it's translated and completed and edited, it will take most probably yet another year until it's actually published and sold in bookstores in Spain. So, if you are an impatient person like me, that's like a nightmare for me. So I'm just trying to forget that, this thing is being, is in process. I just, pretend that it didn't happen. But, if it was something that I really relied on and had plans linked to those and stuff like that, it would be extremely difficult to sit and wait for such a long time.
That's so true. And that is such a huge contrast as compared to self-publishing. Ani, today I was just replying to a client's email. He asked when his book is going to be available on Amazon. And he just sent his manuscript today. And I said, in the next 10 days, it should be available after we go through the editing and the book covers and the formatting. Yeah. I mean, that's about it, right? I mean, the process is so simple. So I really wonder why people have to complicate it by, going in the roundabout way. So I think I could clearly see that those were the main advantages. And when it comes to marketing, that's a huge similarity, because in both cases, it's the author's responsibility to market themselves. So if the author is good enough, they have a great network and they are in social media, and they also, find opportunities in the mainstream media. And, if they take care of their own marketing, they should be doing well.
Oh yeah, definitely. So it's really kind of, the hardest part is on you in both cases anyway. So just, you can choose between the two, if you can wait, and if it's really important, because I have met many writers who actually say that, no, I prefer to wait for years and years, but if I publish my book, I want it to be published traditionally with a traditional publishing contract, and I want it to be like exactly the way I imagined it, and I'm not doing it myself.
Guys, are you able to hear Ani? I'm not able to hear her. She's frozen, I guess. Can you just leave in your comments? Yeah, she's tuning in back. All right, guys. So let's see if Ani is able to tune in. Before that, if you guys have any questions related to self-publishing, just post it here and we'll try our best to answer them. All right. So we have 3 people online. We have Chuck and Jed and a couple. There are 2 types of books that in fact, there are many different formats you can publish on Amazon. Hi, Annie. There is a person who's asking how easy is it to get their book on Amazon?
I lost the connection or something happened. I was rebooting.
Okay, no problem. So I was just telling him that he could publish it as an ebook on Kindle or as a paperback through CreateSpace. And you can also publish your audiobook through Audible. That's again Amazon's another business actually. So you could do this. For that, all you need to do is create your account on these different places and upload the book in that particular format. So you just need to have a good cover done. So it has to obviously be professional. Otherwise, Amazon will still accept, but your book is not going to sell. So make sure your cover is good. Make sure you edit it professionally, format it well, and you just have to go to KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. So we'll probably leave a link here. So you need to create an account and just upload all this. That's it. So you can, once all this is there, you can just upload your book in 15 minutes and Amazon is going to review it. And within 6 to 8 hours, your book is going to be live. So people from across the world, from any Amazon store, not just the .com store, Charles, but even from Spain or India or Australia, from people from anywhere can buy your book. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's not complicated actually. It's very easy. It doesn't take lots of time. Cost for the professional editor, well, it varies, but usually just now, maybe you can tell a bit. It's different. Let's say for fiction editing, it's a bit more expensive because it needs besides the proofreading and simple basic editing, you also might want to go with development editing, and where the editor is actually looking at the storyline, looking at the plot holes and different things that could be revised or restructured and things like that. So usually with novels it's more complex. You might want to have it edited twice, in a sense that once you want to do the basic edits, then you want to do the development edits and stuff like that. So it's more costly than nonfiction. For nonfiction, I think Jyotsna has a more precise view on that because she's been there for a while. So Jyotsna, what would you say?
Yeah, you're right, Annie. Nonfiction is definitely a lot simpler. So to answer your question, Charles, what we at Publish My Book today, I've just left a URL of our website. What we do is, once you send us your manuscript, we'll send it to our editor, and she will typically do the first round of content editing, which is more about, she'll go through the entire book and see if the structure is all right, if the logical flow is there, and all of the the overall stuff about the book is what she will see, and she will leave her comment wherever necessary and also make the first round of editing. And then once you go through it and you agree, disagree, or you leave your comments about all the changes that she's made, then she will start doing the copy editing. That's more that look into the smaller details like the grammar and the punctuation and stuff like that. And then the final round would be a proofreading kind of a round where she'll quickly glance through the book and make sure all the small minute errors are corrected. So that's what we do for nonfiction books, and our rates are somewhere in the range of $150 per 10,000 words. So that's actually quite nominal, because you will find people who are charging $500 for 10,000 words, and you will also find people on sites like Fiverr who will do it for $5. So I think strike a cool. We strike the right balance between quality and price. So it's at $150 for 10,000 words, Charles.
Yeah. And actually, the thing is that if you think that, for example, for me and Jyotsna, it was obvious that we would need editors anyway because we're non-English speakers. But even those who know the language extremely well, they still need an editor, because there are many things that your eye can't catch because you've been writing it for quite a lot. And especially if you're writing a lengthy and creative pieces like novels, for example, or novellas even, you might have been inside for so long that you might end up actually writing things which you think is clear, but someone with a fresh eye can realize that, like, you've been in character's head for so long and you have been thinking and coming up with his thoughts so much that you might already know the character and end up not actually opening up everything that needs to be written and explained and showed in the novel, so actually you definitely need someone to go through your text and professionally actually polish it up to make sure that the reading experience is pleasant one, because if it's not, people will be inclined to just close the book or to switch off the Kindle and put it aside, because these days everyone is busy. We do it for entertainment or we do it to get some value, and if the experience is not pleasant, then most of the people would prefer to do something else instead.
True. In fact, until recently, Ani, I never knew that, I thought that people who had great English need not have editors editing their book. So I have a friend called Morgan McDonald. She runs an editing service. She has an editing company. And when she wrote her first few months back,
I know
she said that, she said that she sent her book for editing. I said, why do you need that, Morgan? You yourself are a professional editor. So she said that something like this, like even if you're a doctor, you send and you fall sick, you go to another doctor, right? So that's how it is when it comes to editing. So however good you are, you need your book to go through another pair of eyes. So that's very important. We have a negative guy joining in.
With one of my favorite character as a photo.
So guys, you please post if you have any other questions related to
and if anyone feels like jumping in and joining us in the conversation, feel free to do so, because we have free seats as well. So I don't know if anyone. Okay, so we discussed the differences, we discussed writers' fears, we discussed the publishing help we are offering. We spoke about editors. We spoke about covers. What are we missing out? Is it true that there are 3,000 books per day published? I think even more, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's much more. I don't have the latest statistics, but when I was checking it out about 6 months ago, it was over 4,600 per day. I can't tell about now, but it's quite a lot. It's terribly a lot, and there are more than how many million on Amazon published already?
I'm sure the number is very high. Negative guy, because you know what? Though there are so many books that get published, the unfortunate fact is that very few of these books make money. And I think that's how it is, because self-publishing is so easy. Anybody can just write a book in a day and publish it. It's as simple as that. So what happens is a lot of these books, I think even 95% of them are not even worthy of calling them as books. So that's one huge problem. But the consumers on Amazon, the customers, have become very smart. If you see these crappy books that are put out there, after a few weeks, their sale definitely goes down because people are easily able to make. And I would really thank Amazon for doing this, because the review system is so powerful in Amazon. The minute a reader reads a bad book, they immediately leave a negative review, and that really impacts the sale. So you are right that there are so many books that are getting published, but the not so good ones are not getting sold.
Okay, so
how many print books? I'm sure print books are not getting published at that rate. Ebooks are much easier to publish, so I think print books are still having that barrier to enter.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Wikipedia, which shows the books published per country per year, and the United States says for 2013. Over 300,000, 305,000, something like that for print books.
We have a question from Craig Ani. He says, bearing in mind the many different platforms these days, What do you think is the best format or software to write?
Well, actually, until recently, I was using just a simple word processor. So when I had a PC, I used Word. When I switched to Mac, I was using Pages, and it was enough for me. Recently, I purchased Scrivener, and although it needs a little bit of learning curve, and I'm not writing a book right now, so I'm not actively using that. But I think Scrivener has many functionalities which are very convenient, and it's also being synchronized with Dropbox or your any cloud, which, to make sure that you don't lose anything. It auto saves every 1 or 2 seconds, and it has many interesting things that will help you with plotting your novel. So it's like, it's especially perfect for novels, because with different tools you can actually visualize your whole outline. You can see different characters and where they appear in the scenes. So it helps you visually kind of imagine the novel by itself. And besides that, what it also helps is it's very easy to rearrange. So if you are writing just a specific scene and then you decide that it should come a bit later, it's just drag and drop, and you can do lots of things like that. So it's definitely much more convenient to use Scrivener as opposed to the word processors I was using.
Craig, to add to Annie's point, what I feel is that if you are a professional writer and you plan to write many books, then it's good thing to spend that time in learning Scrivener, because a lot of our author friends keep raving about Scrivener because it's got such amazing features. So if you are planning to write one book after the other, then it's better to learn that. But if you are still stuck with your first book and you're still procrastinating, then don't let Scrivener to be another reason for procrastinating your writing, because writing is more important than the software. So if you're just starting with your first book, a Word or Pages is good enough. So don't bother learning something new. But if you've already published a couple of books and you're working on your third one, then it's good to spend time learning Scrivener.
Oh yeah. There was a question about whether images and design when they come into mix, it makes more complicated. I guess what it makes more complicated with is the formatting of the book, which you might want to outsource anyway, because it takes quite a lot of time and it's very uncreative and quite, not very pleasant thing to do. So basically you can do it yourself, but it takes a little bit of time to figure out how it's done. There are templates that you can use, but if there are images there and if there is a special design, you might end up spending too much time, and you'd rather give it to someone who knows that stuff and who can do it much faster for you.
Yeah. Craig, I'm also a huge believer in outsourcing, because as a writer, you should be spending your time writing. And once your writing is done, just give out everything else to freelancers, because that is their job. So you can actually start focusing on how to market your book and how to start coming up with ideas for your second book. So don't bother wasting time with formatting and stuff like that, because there are experts to do that. So it's better to just leave it to them.
Yeah. Okay, so, I'm offering it one more time. Does anyone want to jump into the empty seat and join us in the conversation? Okay, good. Craig is joining us. Yeah. Hello, Craig. Welcome.
Oh, sorry, I haven't got my
Craig.
earphones in. Just a second. I wanted to echo negative guy's comment and thank you for using microphones, because your audio sounds amazing.
Wow, thank you for that. Ani is a seasoned podcaster and I'm a newbie podcaster, so that's the reason.
I just wanted to say that, well, thanks for your comments, but I'm an English teacher, so my question was really, because I've got lots of material in Word and different formats on the computer, and thinking of putting a book together, it's not as simple as just writing pure text. So the question was really from the point of view, if I've got images, maybe even multimedia and sound files and text, exercises, answers, that kind of thing. I was just wondering if you knew what the best software is to use just to get the basic book together, because obviously it's not the same to then publish it on the Kindle and then publish it on the Apple platform, for example, with iAuthor. So juggling all these different formats, I'm just wondering if you had any ideas or suggestions for materials for the classroom, that kind of thing.
You know what, Craig, what I suggest to people is that if they have a lot of, these worksheets and images and a lot of additional material, it's best to have minimum stuff in your book, because Amazon is going to cost you a delivery cost. If the file size of the Mobi file that you're going to upload to Kindle is very high, then Amazon is going to, first of all, charge you a delivery cost. And I have some friends whose files are so big that, they're not even able to price their book at 99 cents. The minimum price itself is $1.99. So they're not able to market the book, and a lot of other issues come up when your file size is high. So as an alternative, what people do is they have their book in simple word kind of format, and they give a free workbook along with the book. And that's not inside the book. What they do is they have a nice opt-in or a free bonus right in the beginning of the book or towards the end of the book, saying that, as a supplement to this book, I would like to give you a free workbook. So, and that's a great way for you to collect email leads as well. So people who are serious readers and they want to really practice what you've written in the book will definitely leave their email. And then using your email autoresponder, you can send all these big files and audio clips and video and all that. So you don't have to give away everything in your book. You could actually give it as a supplement.
So you're selling part of the book, and then the material that takes up a lot of file size, you'd be offering as additional content, free.
Yeah.
Once they bought the book. That's clever.
Or if you have videos, you can, leave the link of the video in your book file. And because Kindle is clickable and it's connected to internet anyway. So, wherever you have a video to show, they can just click and go and watch the video and come back to your book anyway. So you don't really have to have it inside the book.
Yeah. It just makes a lot of sense to think of this before I start compiling everything. Because if I'm only thinking of the Amazon platform and then later I wanted to adapt to another platform, I'd have to go back to square one again.
Yeah, well, all platforms support, internet links anyway, so I don't think it will make any difference whether it's iBooks or Kobo or Kindle or whatever.
Okay. So, I haven't met you before. Do you work in the publishing industry? What are you writers, authors?
Well, I'm a fiction author and Jyotsna is a non-fiction author, and we both got together and we are offering different services for writers, so they spend their time writing rather than dealing with all those, unpleasant tasks of preparing their book.
Can you see that's my book called Job Escape Plan? So that's available on Amazon. So while I published that book, I wanted to really market it well. So I went on a podcast to work. I just approached all the podcasters I knew and I wanted to get on their show. So that's how I met Ani. She has this very popular podcast called Right to be Read, where every week she interviews authors. So I was actually a guest on her show a few months back. And then we came up with this idea of having this publishing service, because she understands the pain points of a fiction author and I can relate to a non-fiction author. And we had already a huge pool of freelancers who were working for us doing the cover designs and editing and formatting. So we just converted that into a business.
Fantastic. And where can we find the website? Is there a website up?
I'll leave you a link now in the chat.
Okay.
It's called publishmybook.today. So you can just see the link there.
I'll take a look.
Just let us know if you have any other questions, Craig. So when is how far are you in the book writing process? Are you done with the writing?
It's a bit of a sore point. I started a grammar book about 3 years ago, and I started writing it in Word. And a lot of the material is already published free on the website, but I've taken that back off the shelf again because I left it alone for a while. So now I'm working with my business partner, and together we're trying to push it forward, and we hope to publish it early next year. Mm-hmm. But we're not sure where. Obviously, it's quite easy to export it as a PDF and set it as a digital download. We've already got a store on our website to sell it through there. But obviously we'd be interested in putting it up on Amazon and any other platforms as well. And there are quite a few educational platforms out there, I think, that we could put it up on. So I was just trying to think ahead, what's the best software to be putting it together in. At the moment, it's pretty much in Microsoft Word, but I know there's problems when you want to convert that to another platform sometimes.
Right.
There might be, yeah.
Basically,
So anyway,
you should be seeing, Craig, where is your target market going to be? So are your target readers students of English language?
Yes, we teach English to Spanish speakers. So our target market is in mainland Spain and Central and South America and the US.
You have to definitely have your book on Amazon, because Amazon has a strong presence in Spain as well. So Amazon is like a no-brainer. You have to be there, because I think 60 to 70% of the market share of ebooks is with Amazon. So you cannot ignore Amazon. So that's definitely one place you should look at. Obviously, you can have it on your website as well. If you are going to get a steady flow of traffic, having it on the website also helps. But these days, a lot of authors are looking at other platforms like Nook and Kobo and iBooks. So I think once your book is out on Amazon, you can spend some time in converting the book for these other platforms, because writing the book is the biggest challenge. Once that's done, formatting it for different platforms is not that difficult.
Okay.
The other thing you can look at once you decide to move from Amazon to other platforms, since each platform has its own formatting requirements, and it may get complicated and you have to check your stats on each platform, etc. There are aggregating services like Draft to Digital or Smashwords who can do it for you. So you actually, all they do is they take a slight cut from your royalty, but they convert your book for all platforms. They distribute it for all platforms that are out there, and they provide you with the detailed reports in one dashboard for all the platforms. So basically, if you don't really have time to actually do it by yourself and then monitor and look on all platforms out there, you can just use that type of service and go with that.
Mm-hmm. A couple of things occurred to me that you might have some views on. Firstly, I've read somewhere that if you price a book at, let's say, $20 on your website, you cannot price it for the same amount or more on Amazon. You have to price it low on Amazon. Is that true?
Craig, actually, the Amazon has this rule that they have something called KDP Select. That's a program of Kindle where you're allowed to put your book for free for 5 days during a period of 3 months. So if you enroll your book in KDP Select, then the book cannot be available anywhere else. Not whether it's for free or paid, it cannot be distributed anywhere else online.
Only on Amazon.
It has to be exclusively available on Amazon. So that's the only rule that I'm aware of. I am sure you can price your book differently on different platforms.
Well, in terms of pricing, actually, what Amazon does, it price matches. So if you price it higher on Amazon than somewhere else, and a customer or someone or even Amazon sees that book somewhere else in a lower price, then it matches the price. And on Amazon, no matter what price you have set up, it will put the price of your lowest available price on the net anywhere else on other platforms. So basically, Amazon's price has to be the lowest, and that's all I know actually in terms of pricing with Amazon. So it does price matches, but in terms of having it the lowest price available out there.
So actually, he can sell it for a higher price on his website. Amazon shouldn't have a problem with that.
Absolutely. I mean, I know many writers who have huge platforms, like, really big audiences on their blogs. And what they are doing is actually they prefer having it as PDF and priced quite high and sell it directly, because like that, they keep 100% of the price and they have enough, followers to make sure that they will be selling well. So all they do is they just, sell directly from their websites.
Right. But Amazon have got such a wide reach and wide audience that it's a no-brainer to put it up on Amazon, even if they're selling it at a lower price and taking 30%.
Absolutely. Yeah. For new writers, it's definitely the way to go, because if you have to build the audience, Amazon may become the way of doing so, because you will gain visibility there. Yeah.
The other thing that occurs to me is proofreading. Obviously, you could offer free copies out where before there was a pre-launch to get people to proofread it for you, especially if you've got like a fan base. But do you know where I could go to pay a proofreader?
You could come to our website, publishmybook.today. See, it's great to give it out to friends, but then, it's like a favor that they have to return, So I'm not saying that they won't do a good job, but then it is possible that they may just skip a few errors. So it's better to get it done professionally first, and then as, a second, gate, you can give it to your friends as well. So I think first you need to professionally get it edited and proofread before giving it out to friends.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The negative guys just told me that I need a microphone. Am I not coming across clearly?
Well, maybe compared to us.
We can hear you fine, actually.
I have got a microphone here, negative guy, but you can't quite see it. Does it sound really bad? Move closer.
Oh yeah, it's better now.
I've actually got to jump out, but thanks very much. I enjoyed the chat, and the website. I need the website. Did you put it up here for me?
Let's
Your
do
website.
it again.
I can't find it. What was the name of the website? Sorry.
Publishmybook.today.
Here it is. Yeah, I've got it. Publish my book. Got it. Okay. Thanks very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.
I want to see negative guy.
Yeah, even I want to see. It sounds very interesting. Negative guy. This popular request that you...
Do you have a microphone, negative guy? No. Do you want to hop in without a microphone? We're not that picky. Okay, well, I guess not today. Okay, not today.
No,
we'll be here, more times, I guess. It's kind of, I personally prefer this to Periscope, to be honest, because I was torturing myself with Periscope for quite a while. I didn't like it, and but I was sticking to it, and I was starting gaining some audience there, and people were tuning into my Periscopes and started interacting finally, because the first few times I was talking to myself and it was terrible. But I think this is much better in terms of engagement and in terms of, you feel more relaxed, I guess. And it's just nicer. Periscope is mobile only. You can watch the replays on desktop, I guess.
But you can't comment on the desktop.
Yeah, but you can't comment on the desktop, and you have to kind of, hold your mobile all the time while you are kind of broadcasting. And I don't know. It's kind of, it's too egocentric for me, I guess.
Yeah, I do agree that, this is a lot more relaxed. Periscope really, gives me an anxiety attack.
Okay, I have a question here. Tony asks where I am from. Well, I am from Armenia, which many people don't know where it is, but it's actually one of the ex-Soviet Union countries, and it's in Caucasus, and it's close to Turkey and Iran and Georgia and Azerbaijan. So basically, I'm very far away from where you are from, I guess. But yeah, that's where the accent comes from, if you wonder.
Tony is from Miami.
Okay, yeah, it's quite far away.
I think at this time, it's mostly people from the US tuning in, right? It's daytime for them.
Oh, yeah, I think so. It should be even in some places morning, I guess. Yeah. Periscope walking tour in Armenia. Well, maybe. We'll
It'll
see.
be fun. Negative guy, I'm from India. I live in a city called Chennai in India. And my accent is very different.
Yeah, we have a bunch of accents in here. Okay, well, I guess we will wrap it up. And, whoever came late or, the replay is available there. So, did both of you meet here? No, actually, Jasna told the story, but I guess you joined a bit later. I'm a podcaster. I have a podcast for writers called Write to be Read. And since Jasna was an author, I interviewed her for my podcast, and that's how we met. And actually, I think podcast is one of the best ways to meet awesome people. So yeah, we have met otherwise, but I guess Blab can become a place where people can meet, many different people, and I guess it can lead to other places. So just from one podcast interview, we became business partners after a while, and thanks God for internet. We do many things from very far away. Blab is gonna change podcasting. Well, actually, I'm already changing my podcasting routines. What I'm doing is I'm doing my interviews live and then using the audio file to edit and prepare a final episode for the podcast. So yes, it makes things easier. You don't have to double work for that. It's nice, and I guess it's kind of it will help a lot. Lots of folks are podcasting like that. I received an email from a friend of mine who is podcaster also, who was looking at the terms and conditions of Blab, and she was terrified by learning that they actually have content rights for whatever is recorded on their platform. And but later on we digged into that and realized that it's non-exclusive content rights, which means that you can use that content somewhere else, but it also means that they can use your content pretty much any way they want. So that's something to take into account. If someone is sensitive about that, that's something to look into.
True. Anything else, Ani?
No, that's it. I guess we can wrap it up. Over here, I don't know. Most probably you guys are in a completely different time zones. Over here, it's 16 past 10 p.m. So my day is pretty much over. So I will just enjoy a short session of reading because that's what I usually do in the evenings, or I write late nights. But today, I guess I won't be writing because I already wrote in the morning, so I can kind of, I can take it off this evening.
Cool. Okay. I just have to go to sleep because it's almost midnight.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we're not, keeping you late. So if it's a good schedule for the US time zone, because somehow it happens so that most of our audiences are there, I guess we'll just stick to that timing because, it's okay for us too. So, okay. So
it was our first Blab, Ani, so let's congratulate ourselves. Nice talking to so many people.
Okay, well, thank you very much, guys, for coming over, for showing up, for writing comments, asking questions. It was really, really great. I promised the negative guy that, I will be blabbing with a microphone from now on. I didn't realize it was so important because, I usually am very picky about audio quality when I'm recording a podcast, which was not the case today. But that's what I'll do. I'll keep my microphone next to me every time I will be blabbing. And keep tuned. Just, follow us on Blab because we will be coming over quite often. And thanks a lot. Thank you for coming. And hopefully we'll meet you here again.
Thank you all for joining, guys, and just reach out to us if you need any help with self-publishing. Thank you.
Yeah, publish my book today. We had to plug it in. Okay.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.